Congress urges a probe into the president of Afghanistan who fled. Reports of Ghani fleeing Afghanistan with $169 million in U.S. aid, and they want a probe in this. Supposedly, he would have had more, but he couldn't fit everything into where he was taking it. Last week, Ashraf Ghani vehemently rejected accusations that he left Afghanistan for United Arab Emirates with a huge amount of cash as a baseless lie. U.S. House Oversight Committee Republicans urged Attorney General A.G. Merrick Garland to investigate media reports that Afghan President Ashraf Ghani fled his country last week with over $169 million in U.S. taxpayer money. In letters to the AG, Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Tuesday, James Comer and Glenn Grothman stressed that the Biden administration must do everything in its power to seize any illicitly gained funds that were corruptly embezzled by President Ghani. Well, what do you expect in these places? This is what goes on. The Republicans noted that although it remains unclear how Ghani obtained such an enormous sum of cash, the amount and nature of his flight from Afghanistan raises specter that President Ghani illegally and corruptly embezzled these funds from U.S. assistance intended for the Afghan people's welfare and defense. The two insisted that the Afghan's president's actions likely sped up the Taliban's takeover of the country because he left. He didn't even give any orders to resist them. He just took off, resulting in the chaotic situation now faced by American citizens and our allies. The letters come a week after Ghani, who is currently in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, declared that he intends to return to Afghanistan in the near future in order to provide justice for all Afghan nationals. Well, what would they want to do with him if he's a leader that just takes off whenever there's trouble? Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. He says, I'm in consultation with others until I will return so that I can continue my efforts for justice for Afghans. He said he reiterated the decision to leave the country in order to prevent any further bloodshed and avert a huge disaster after the Taliban entered the capital on Kabul August 15. 4 cars full of money. He would have had more if they fit with him, but they didn't. He supposedly left the cars full of money on tarmac. Now, reports of Ghani having fled Afghanistan with millions in cash emerged as Nikita Ishenko, spokesperson for the Russian embassy, said that Afghan president had departed with 4 cars filled to the brim with money. As for the collapse of the regime, Ishenko said, it's most eloquently characterized by the way Ghani fled from Afghanistan. 4 cars were full of money. They tried to put part of the money into a helicopter, but everything did not fit, and some of the money was left on the runway. I mean, this is bizarre. Follow-up reports alleged that the dollar amount Ghani escaped with was upwards of $169 million. A figure, however, that was never confirmed. Maybe it was more than that. Ghani later rejected what he described as unsubstantiated and untrue accusations relating him to fleeing with vast sums of money, arguing that he was in such a rush he was even forced to leave behind some confidential documents. His whereabouts were unknown until last Wednesday. Speculation swirling. He fled to Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, or Oman. On August 18, the UAE's foreign minister confirmed that Ghani and his family were allowed to enter into the United Arab Emirates on humanitarian grounds, but the brief release did not offer specifics on any asylum conditions that may have been raised or Ghani's exact location in the UAE. So more on this to come. This by Oleg Brunner von Sputnik. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support.